Welcome back, everyone. We are back here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We want to thank everyone for bearing with us and taking time out of your schedule to find us and join us. We have a bunch of great stories to catch up on with everybody. Thank you so much. However, you are finding us, whether it be on our social media sites with Sports Skillet or whether it be with the Heat Ratio social media sites. By the way, Heat Ratio has a great show every Tuesday night at the Steam Pub in PA. So you want to stop by and check that out or follow them on their social media sites and follow them live. They go live every Tuesday night, so check them out at the Steam Pub in PA. Great show there. But we have our great stuff going on here at Sports Skillet. Check out sportsskilletradio.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We got our Twitter account functioning. You never know what we're going to tweet out. So if you want some great sports news, great articles, from Mike, great news, check out sportsskilletradio.com. A lot of good things happening there. Check out our social media sites as well. All you have to do is search for Sports Skillet. We pop up. Let me bring in the coach, Shane McGowan. Now, Shane, the coach, new time slot, new attitude here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. Thanks so much for joining us. Shane, can you let everybody know how they can find you on your social media sites?
Yeah, you can reach me at mentaledgeperformance.ca as well as mental_edge_performance. How's everybody doing this weekend?
Oh, we are fired up. We're in our new time slot, and Shane, we are not at a lack for stories this past week. Let me tell you, the stories are flowing, the juice is there, and we have to get right to it. I think maybe, guys, we should start with the NFL. I know baseball is back, but I think the juicier stories are coming from the NFL. Shane, I'll start with you here. You now have a new quarterback within your division. He is on the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson going from the Seattle Seahawks over to the Denver Broncos. Broncos giving up a haul to get him. Shane, for those who don't know, Shane, you're a big Raiders fan. Now you have Russell Wilson in your division. What do you think about the Russell Wilson trade going from Seattle to Denver?
Well, you knew Denver was going to do something. I mean, there's no question about that. Whether it be Aaron Rodgers showing up or somebody else like that. And there was a lot of talk of Russ jumping ship from that Seattle team. You're right. The division just became a very, very, very difficult division to win. And it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. Very, very hard in that way. So, yeah, you got to come in there with your A game. No question about that. You got Mahomes, you got Russ, you got Derek Carr, and you got Justin Herbert. I mean, you got four backs without a doubt. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's made Denver a very, very talented team in many ways. They've got great receivers. They got a good running back and things like this too. They gave a bit. There's no question about that, but you're going to have to.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's no questions there. You're gonna. I think Denver did a lot better than Indianapolis did. That's for sure. In that stuff that happened over there in the Colts and everything like that. But we'll get to that topic. But as for this team in this division, this is going to be a very, very difficult division, and it's going to be tough to win. Every game is going to count. There's no question about that. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. But I mean, if you're a Denver fan, you are very, very excited. You are excited now to get back out there and see what's going to happen. That's for damn sure.
And Jeff, you're the big 49er fan. You get Russell Wilson out of the division. Looks like the Seahawks are in a rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks are definitely in a rebuild at this point. We'll have to see what happens with Pete Carroll, how long he sticks around in the division. but it's nice to see Seahawks rebuilding, and we'll see what happens. With them going forward with free agency and so forth. But it does appear that Seattle's rebuilding. But we still have the Rams in our division, and that's going to be the challenge for 49ers going forward. Not so much the Seahawks.
Yep. And Mike, within the NFC, I mean, you got Russell Wilson going over to the AFC now. Makes life a little bit more interesting, I would say, for teams within the NFC in general. Now that Russell Wilson is off of the Seahawks, it doesn't look like they're going to, at this point, we don't know who their quarterback is going to be, but it makes it opens the door up a little bit more for some other teams to make the playoffs in the NFC, Mike.
Yeah, it makes life easier around the NFC, especially for teams that don't have that franchise quarterback. You don't have to go through the Seahawks every single freaking season.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you're in the AFC, you got to go through yet another Manning. And by Manning, I mean Russell Wilson.
Yep, this is true. I mean, you look at the AFC, and Shane, were you surprised that Russell Wilson agreed to this trade? Because I mean, within the NFC, he would have a clearer path, you would think, to making the playoffs. But going over to the AFC, I mean, you look at Joe Burrow, you look at the Bills, you look at the Ravens, who should be a lot better. They won't have the injuries next year. I mean, he had to agree to this trade to go over there, and his path to making the playoffs is a little bit more difficult now. Shane, can you hear us?
Well, I looked at what happened in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. There. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Is this thing breaking up?
No, we can hear you, Shane.
Okay. You know what? I looked at what happened. Okay, in Seattle, Russ was having a bit of issues of saying he wanted to be more a part of the decision making, the drafting, and things like this too. It wasn't just a happy household there up in Seattle as everyone thinks. There's a lot of in-house bickering amongst those guys, and I think what gave him this freedom now is to say, listen, you come to Denver, we're going to give you a little bit more. We're going to give you more options of making some or helping us become a better team that we want to be too. So I think that played a huge factor as well. Jump over to elsewhere and things like that. But really, I think Denver probably got the better opportunity of making it somewhere in playoff bound position than those other teams are. And I think that he won. It's not so much it's the other things too. And if you look now, all these quarterbacks that have been playing for a while now want to be part of the management drafting systems too. They want to be part of making some semi-decisions on things as they move forward.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of people who wanted to make some decisions, Jeff, Aaron Rodgers is staying put in Green Bay. He's not going anywhere. Now, who are you going to believe? Reportedly, he agreed to the highest paid contract in NFL history. He kind of denied it, but you got to believe there were some enticements to get him to stay in Green Bay. I think he has an easier path now to making the playoffs, possibly getting home field advantage. When you look at Russell Wilson's out of the division, you look at out of the conference. I mean, you look at the division he's in. Green Bay is going to be heavily favored going forward to win that division. Sean Payton's gone. Drew Brees is gone. So you've got Tom Brady gone now. For how long, who knows? There's rumors he may unretire depending upon, the time of day. But Tom Brady, Jeff, staying in Green Bay ends all the speculation. Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay ends that speculation, Jeff.
Well, yeah, it's good for Green Bay, obviously, to keep Aaron Rodgers around at this point, make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, which is, what he wants reportedly. Like you said, he denies it, but where there's smoke, there's fire. So obviously, he's gonna, stay in Green Bay for all we know at this point. Which, look, it makes all the sense in the world. It's a nice, easy division. He can go out there, win it every year, go to the playoffs. The problem with Aaron Rodgers is, I just don't think right now he's an overhyped
quarterback.
I mean, that Niners the way he did in the playoffs just shows you, I think, the fact that his ceiling is limited. And a paid quarterback in the league, sure, he's an MVP, sure, he's done in the regular season, but he's certainly not a big time playoff quarterback. So you have to weigh, obviously, what you've got, what you're getting in Aaron Rodgers, which is a great regular season record, but then failure in the playoffs time and time again. I mean, he's won one Super Bowl. So like I said, this guy, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame, but he's going to go to the Hall of Fame on his regular season credentials, not his postseasons, which have been an epic disaster as far as Packer fans would be concerned.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you 100% there, Jeff. You look at his playoff, and he had an awesome chance to get there this past season. He had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. He had a playoff bye. Teams were coming into a cold Green Bay, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field. He had everything laid out in front of him. And
let's face facts. He was facing the worst quarterback in the playoffs in Jimmy G. Good luck to any team, trading for him. This guy the stats prove it. I mean, you just look at the statistics and they bear it out how bad of a quarterback Jimmy G is in the playoffs. He just doesn't get it done. He's carried. You have to carry him through the play. You have to have a team that has, you have to have the offensive line. You have to have a team that's going to carry Jimmy Garoppolo through the playoffs if you want to trade for him, because he's not going to get it done by himself. He's just not going to do it. So, and that's similar to, and Aaron Rodgers, you could see in that game between the two that, it was just just an epic, failure on both sides, and neither team could score for anything. That just shows you the failure of Aaron Rodgers, but it also shows you kind of the warts that Jimmy Garoppolo has as well. So,
yeah. And Mike, what did you think about Aaron Rodgers staying put in Green Bay?
Green Bay's future is totally effed up. I'm sorry, but you're going through a rebuild. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is not the quarterback you want to go through that rebuild with. You lost out on Russell Wilson. You're probably going to lose out on a star quarterback in the draft. And who's your backup? Jordan Love? Really?
Yeah.
What is Green Bay thinking?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what they're thinking. They're not thinking.
Well, no, I got to disagree with you there, Mike. I think here's what my take on it is that they, for the past couple of seasons, after drafting Jordan Love, trading back up into the first round and drafting Jordan Love and seeing him in practice, and he has had a little smidgen of playing time after seeing him all throughout practice and that little smidgen of playing time. I think they determined we have to keep Aaron Rodgers. We can't turn the franchise over to Jordan Love. He's not at this point a franchise quarterback. And I think that's why they had to go all in on Aaron Rodgers. And if they didn't, they were going to wind up screwed. What do you think, Coach?
Well, first off, you're going all in on Aaron Rodgers. But the other thing, too, is it's not so much they're rebuilding because they just tagged Devontae Adams as well.
Yeah.
You didn't have to tag him. You could have done something to get rid of him and bring in others and blah, blah, blah. So like I said, they're going and do what every team has done in the past few years and saying, we're buying everybody and we're going to buy a championship team. And that's what they're looking to do. So they look to buy their quarterback. Now they look to tag their star receiver. They recontracted the Aaron Jones's running back, his contract and things like that. Yeah, you got a couple of still missing pieces that you can fill in, but I mean, they're in a lot better shape than a lot of other teams too. So they're going to make a huge push, and especially now with that whole NFC, division being the way it is. You got Kirkland's there, you got whoever in Chicago. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of opportunity for this Green Bay team to move further and further closer to a Super Bowl. Now, last year they lost because of a damn special teams too. Don't forget about that. I mean, that special teams was awful, and it bit them big time in the you know what. So, like I said, change that up as well. I don't expect them to have that same mistake on special teams. I expect Green Bay is going to be coming in highly and heavily favored to themselves Super Bowl contention.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Green Bay, it's tough the thing about Green Bay is it's tough because of the weather conditions and everything. They haven't gone down the free agent market. It's tough to lure big time free agents into Green Bay. And I think that's why they have to keep they absolutely had to keep Devonta, and they had to keep Aaron Rodgers in there, two guys that were, I think both were kind of waiting to see what the other one did or what the other one was feeling and so forth. So I think it was big for Green Bay to keep him. And for Aaron Rodgers, his path to the Super Bowl can't be any more cleaner than what it is right now in the NFC. I mean, you got the Rams, and that's pretty much about it. Otherwise than that, it's wide open as far as the other divisions go and the wild card teams go. So it's wide. If you're a team in the NFC right now, you have to figure that, hey, if I can make a couple of, some teams are obviously further away than others, but if you have a decent quarterback, a decent defense, and whatever, your path to making the playoffs and thus making a run is a lot cleaner than it is over in the AFC. And speaking of which, we had another player move this past week over to the AFC from the NFC. Coach Amari Cooper, the former now wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys, going to Cleveland to be the Browns wide receiver there. I guess to take over for a wide receiver that went out to LA to win a Super Bowl with the Rams. But Amari Cooper now on the Cleveland Browns. What did you think of this bombshell drop in there?
Yeah, I mean, first off, Dallas is in such a bad hole with their money. They had no choice. They got to get rid of Amari Cooper and also the fellow on defense as well with Lawrence too. Now, Jarvis Landry's not happy in Cleveland either. So he's going to be out the door. So you got to bring somebody in there for Baker to throw to, and it happens to be Amari Cooper, and that's it. So it's a cost-efficient salary cap thing. It's not even so much the talent anymore, but the thing I don't get, though, when it comes to that is you're now going to bank everything on CeeDee Lamb and thinking that he's going to be the guy that's going to carry that team in the receiving aspect, and I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think he's gonna be able to tolerate that next season coming up of a full season if he's going to have all the eyes on him. I don't think he's there yet for that stardom in that way. He's a good receiver, but I don't think he's going to be that only go-to guy type of thing like that. So, and with Michael Gallup and them too, so I still think Cowboys heads are too big as usual, and I think they're going to get themselves in a little bit of trouble as they move forward here with this stuff. But again, that's what happens when you're giving big paychecks to Zeke and to Dak and to everybody else that they did, and it all comes back. And you hope that in that time you got yourself to a Super Bowl, but you haven't, and you're still not going to get there in one of the weakest divisions, that you're in. Now you're throwing in another mix, which we're going to talk about soon, is that Washington Commanders team that decide to go out and get themselves somebody too. But there's also a big rumor that I caught wind of this week of still looking to offload a Jalen Hurts for a Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Before we, and I will go there next. Jeff, Mari Cooper going to Cleveland. Obviously, Cleveland's still looking to add talent uh, to their team. Any comments on him going over to Cleveland and helping the Cleveland offense out? I think it may be a little bit better fit than what they previously had. Any thoughts on it?
Well, I think it's a little bit of an upgrade for Cleveland. Obviously, we'll have to see how he works with Baker Mayfield and that group, how he fits into the offensive scheme that they have there. I mean, he's a talented receiver. Cleveland's trying to get better, and try to add a weapon or two on offense, and Amari Cooper does add that to their offense. So again, it's going to be interesting to see the relationship as it develops with Baker. Amari Cooper stay healthy, so we're just going to have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, and Mike, Baker Mayfield doesn't seem to be a quarterback that can uplift the team, to wins. He needs to have a whole bunch of talent around and be part of something rather than be one of those quarterbacks like your Russell Wilson or Joe Burrow, or a quarterback like that can put a team on his shoulder and get there. Baker Mayfield, Mike, seems to be one of those and he's going into a prove-it year too with Cleveland. Seems to be that quarterback that needs talent around him, which is maybe why Cleveland went out and made this trade. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a prove-it year for Baker Mayfield. He's got to prove himself. He's got to be that quarterback that can uplift the team, or he's probably done in Cleveland after this season if he can't prove himself.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with it because you went out, you got Odell, now you're going out and you're getting Amari Cooper. You got the talent around Baker Mayfield, and if he doesn't prove it this year and come up big, maybe win the division or at least make the playoffs, I got to think that Cleveland may be moving on from Baker and trading him, or
they haven't given him an extra contract. Right?
Yeah.
They haven't extended his contract.
Right.
Nothing. You know what I mean? They have no faith in him. They're riding him out on this rookie contract still because of what they've seen in the last 2 years. Not just last year, but even the year before that too. He made a bit of a push, but he couldn't keep the momentum going. And despite injuries, guys going down, all these things like that, and losing tremendously to some teams, weaker teams. I mean, his character is just in some ways been proven in that locker room that, guess what? You're not a really great guy here, are you? So I won't be surprised if they finally say, you know what? We got to get rid of this because he is not who we thought he was going to be to lead this team. Yeah, you got us our first victory in how many bloody years, at the start of it. But as the 4 or 5 years have gone on, you've done nothing. And I mean, you're not going to be paying a guy, when you look at these QBs that are getting paid, $38 to $50 million. Do you see a Baker Mayfield being a $40 million a season guy?
I can't.
No.
I'll be honest with you. I can't. No. Not at this.
And that's the problem Cleveland's going to. Exactly.
And you look at it right now, it's I don't know about the 2023 draft. We'll have to see about that. But this year's draft, it has a dearth of quarterback talent. There's a dearth of quarterback talent on the market. I mean, it's crazy. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Sports Skillet radio show. We appreciate everybody taking time out of their day to join us. Big story again. Let's get to it. Commander Carson traded by the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts get a lesser haul back than what they gave up to get Carson Wentz onto their team a year ago. And it's not even a year yet. The Eagles haven't made their first-round selection, and Carson Wentz is off of the Indianapolis Colts, headed to the now Washington Commanders. We found out their name. is now the Washington Commanders. Washington gave up a little bit to get what they hope is their new franchise quarterback. It wasn't going to be Fitzy on their team any longer. He was like a one-year stopgap guy anyway. But Washington Commanders go out, make a trade for the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis thought they had their franchise quarterback when Carson Wentz was reunited with head coach Frank Reich. But after a year where maybe at times Carson looked okay, certainly came up small, wasn't able to win the last 2 games of the season when winning one of them would have put the Colts into the playoffs. Wasn't able to win either of the 2 final games of the Colts season. Colts moved off of Carson Wentz and basically say, you know what? We know the quarterback draft is weak. We know the trade market, now that Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers have been decided, we know that the quarterback market may be weak too. The free agency market is weak, but you know what? We'll take anybody over Carson Wentz. We'll go into the free agent market or the trade market and make a trade for somebody other than Carson Wentz. Washington, you can have them. And I think that says a lot about Carson Wentz's maybe attitude towards the team. I'll get into that because there's a breaking news story kind of within the past day or 2 about Carson Wentz that came out. But Jeff, your thoughts of Carson Wentz going to Washington and the Colts moving off of him after just 1 season?
Well, it's another bad quarterback going to Washington. I mean, so congratulations to Washington, the commies, for going out there and trading for another bad quarterback, giving up a whole lot to get him. He's going to face the Eagles twice a year, so there's that. Eagle fans can't move, obviously, since we're talking about him. Eagle fans can't move off of Carson Wentz. I mean, because this guy hasn't proven a damn thing. So I don't get it. I mean, okay, he goes to Washington. Who cares? Let's move on. Let's talk about the NBA. Talk about the real big story right now. Let's get off.
Sure. Well, we will.
Of talking about Carson Wentz here, Russ, there's a really big bombshell that we need to get to here regarding Washington this, because I think the team still stinks.
Well, here's the thing. You say the Eagle fans can't move off of Carson Wentz. I believe they can. I believe the reason the Eagle fans paid attention to Carson Wentz is because of the draft pick compensation this past season that was attached to him. That's why you paid attention to Carson Wentz. And you wanted to see what Carson Wentz would do when he was reunited with Frank Reich over in Indianapolis. Would he go back to being the MVP level Carson Wentz, or would he, shrink in the level of competition? And
he had half a season. He had half a season as MVP. Get off of it. The guy didn't get it done. I mean, come on. He's been a stinking quarterback for the last couple of years. Let's move off of this guy and move on. Well, and that's exactly what Indianapolis did. They moved on. They said, you know what, this guy is so bad, we don't even want to be associated with him. And that's basically what Carson Wentz is. He's trash. So move on. And you know what? Now he's playing for a dumpy team in Washington. He's playing for an owner that couldn't care less. So congratulations. It's still going to stink. Well, what have they won in the last 20, 30 years? Nothing. They have They have one of the worst owners in sports in Snyder. They continue to make foul up after foul up. So move on.
Yep. The breaking news story that I had with Carson Wentz apparently came out of Washington, and it was during a radio show where it was announced that Carson Wentz is not really the team leader that he was projected to be when the Eagles drafted him. And the fact that LeGarrette Blount absolutely confirmed that Darren Sproles had to get in the face of Carson Wentz during that Super Bowl season, and just becoming that team leader. He just got in the face of Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz is not the team leader or anything like that. And there's skepticism about how much of a team leader Wentz is at this point, Coach.
No, I mean, there's no question. Those rumors have been around for a little bit. It's now just coming more or less up to the surface, as they say. You know what I mean? And put it this way: those last two games that the Colts played and losing to Jacksonville, which just did the icing on the cake, all right, for them. You needed to beat Jacksonville. That was it, all right? And everybody else was beating Jacksonville, and you couldn't get it done. That was a disgusting game on that part. Ballard has been so frustrated and everything like that. I mean, there's rumors of them even trying to go after my quarterback and Derek Carr now. You know what I mean? The Colts trying to figure out some wheeling and dealing things and stuff. So, like I said, we're not done yet with this quarterback carousel because there's still going to be moving pieces here, especially with this whole Deshaun Watson stuff and everything like that happening and things too. So there's still going to be some shakeups happening. You got all these other guys floating around too. So like I said, it's going to get a little bit more wilder. But in the end, Washington is not getting any better. It's simple as that. That division is still the suckiest division that there is. Okay, it's simple as that. So I mean, really, why the Giants, the Eagles, and the damn Cowboys, and then Washington? I mean, come on, man. I mean, they all suck in that way. But someone's going to make it. Someone's going to be the number one team coming out of there. And that's it. So that's why Jerry Jones, he can get rid of a few guys. He doesn't give a crap. He still thinks he's going to make it into the playoffs no matter what, but they can't win anything after that. Your Eagles are the team that's going to be in a little bit of trouble if Jalen Hurts doesn't get his stuff together in some ways too. Because like I said, his performance and what you have as receivers and things like that, I mean, and defense-wise, I mean, this is going to be a very, very make or break season for, I think, a Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. What did you think about Carson Wentz coming into the division? Mike, you're the big Giants fan here. You now have Carson Wentz in the division on the Washington Commanders.
He still is inconsistent as ever. It took Nick Foles to bring the Super Bowl to Philadelphia. Carson Wentz didn't do jack squat.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz, had, before he got hurt, was having an MVP, quote unquote, caliber season. The quote that I got is from Brian Mitchell, former Eagles special teams guy, who's now commentates for Washington, the Washington Commanders. He had LeGarrette Blount, the running back of the Philadelphia Eagles, on his radio show, and the quote from Brian Mitchell was, on top of it, he's injured a lot. And you hear all the stories about, like you said, sometimes he's a little different. You hear the stories about him and Darren Sproles, where Darren had to step to him because he wasn't happy about the team being successful without him. To which LeGarrette Blount replied, "Yep." And when you have a team that gives you up and deals with the highest salary cap hit, and then you go to another team, and after 1 year, they're like, bye-bye, something is there. I've been living long enough to understand that you don't keep moving a person if they're great. It's something wrong. And the LeGarrette Blount replies back, "You ain't lying, B. You ain't lying. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you know exactly what story you're talking about with Sproles. But I try to see the best in everybody I want to. So hopefully it goes well for him. But, man, I'm with you, bro. I don't know what pick you all got." So, again, you're talking about Darren Sproles, who's one of the beloved running backs, return guys, in Philadelphia, having to step to Carson Wentz about his leadership. And the Colts moving off of him after just one season. I mean, that tells you, I think, there's something a little offbeat with Commander Carson there going to Washington. And just one thing I'll bring up too is Shane, You traded Khalil Mack a couple of seasons ago. Now Khalil Mack is coming back to haunt you big time, coming from Chicago to go to the Chargers and go up against the Raiders twice a season.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean that was during the Gruden era where he was cleaning house, no question about that.
Yeah,
Khalil Mack last season, he had his foot issue and things like that, took him out for a big chunk. I mean, the man's a talented player. There's no question about this. Will this rejuvenate him with Bosa on the other side? I don't know. You know what I mean? They might. I think this is the thing that I'm seeing out of most defenses is that they're following what the Rams did last season when it comes to the front four. They're playing the rotation in. They're bringing fresh guys in all the time and getting guys out. You know what I mean? That's how much so that they can keep the pressure going. It's not like the old times where you kept everybody out there for play after play after play after play. You're getting fresh people in nonstop, first down, second down, even third downs like that too. You know what I mean? That's just the way the defenses are playing. So to bring in a guy like Khalil Mack to help out in that way, to become that extra body in some senses is big in many ways. It is a big cap to them too and stuff. But again, it could rejuvenate them a little bit as well. And I mean, Chargers have a lot of talent. Chargers, I mean, that's a team that I think as we talk, as we get into next season, I think that's going to be a team you got to start looking at pretty seriously of what they have and things like this, from the quarterback to the receivers, the running back, but as well as that defense. So like I said, that's going to be a team to be reckoned with as we move forward with that one.
And as we start to wrap up our NFL discussion here, and again, feel free to chime in if you want. We talk about everything and anything here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. So if you have a comment, question, whatever, feel free to type it in and we'll get to it. Mike, as far as the Giants go, they're rumored to be interested possibly in Mitch Trubisky, bringing him in for some quarterback competition, Mike. Trubisky's a free agent. He's eligible to sign with whatever team he wants. Giants, I saw, may be interested in bringing him in, but there are some other teams that may offer him a starting job that currently need a quarterback. Thoughts about bringing in Mitch Trubisky to the Giants?
This would be a good acquisition for the Giants. Give Jones that competition. Though I wasn't sure about Trubisky when the Bears drafted him. Why give up so much just to go to a top 5 selection for a quarterback when the quarterback class of that year was pretty decent? So, but giving Jones that competition should push him to be a better quarterback. And if it doesn't, well, it's no risk, no reward.
I gotta say though is that you could bring in the best quarterback, you ain't got nobody to pass to.
That's a good comment. Yep.
You got a running back that they might be shipping out, and you got nobody that's healthy, or you can pass to that catches the ball. Never mind anybody to protect your quarterback. Like that team has sunk. That team has sunk like no tomorrow, right? Between its coaches, its coaching staff, and everything, really. And they're doing everything they can to stay out of that limelight because they know they suck in that way. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, they really are. And will come next season, and pending how they draft this season and who they draft, you're going to see exactly what type of team you get.
Yeah. And, we'll wrap up. I'll throw it out there. Jeff, you got Jimmy G apparently on the trade market. These quarterback needing teams. I'll throw Pittsburgh out there. Do you think Jimmy G would be a good fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go after? I know we have a hardcore Steeler fan that follows us. These quarterback needy teams, do you think they overpay for or overdraft for a quarterback? Jeff, Shane?
Well, interesting. I'll tell you that. We'll have to see, what happens going forward. Pittsburgh, San Francisco, where Jimmy G goes. The 49ers are in a interesting spot. I think they got, legitimately exposed by the Rams in the fact, but they, we knew this going through the playoffs that, Jimmy Garoppolo was just simply, a bad quarterback. I mean, he wins because he gets on the back of a defense that is, all world. And it'll be interesting to see, if because any team that wants Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to, give the 49ers some compensation, and go from there. But, this guy just, to me is the ultimate enigma because he doesn't know how to throw balls away. He throws interceptions at the worst times, and he's not a clutch quarterback. So, good, like I said, good luck to any team that wants him, and we'll just have to wait and see how the market develops for him.
Yeah. Shane, do you think they overpay for a quarterback? A team like maybe the Steelers or one of these teams that may be in transition now? I mean, Seattle put themselves in that quarterback market. I know they got Drew Lock back from Denver, but they're one of these teams that are in the quarterback derby now. Do you think they kind of overpay to get a quarterback in, or do you think they just stay where they are?
Pittsburgh's playing the real close to the vest on this one. I don't think they feel confident with Rudolph or Haskins that they've got there right now. No question about that. You know what I mean? So the question always comes is, and again, you got Tampa without a QB. You've got Carolina. You've got all these other teams that don't have quarterbacks either in some ways. You got the Saints, who got apparently two quarterbacks with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston that both might be going somewhere too. Like, you don't know. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of uncertainty still floating around. And which of these QBs is going to fit into the system? Can Jimmy G fit into the Pittsburgh system? And you're right. So does that mean then that Pittsburgh throws, say, Rudolph down over to the 49ers? I don't think 49ers are getting a good deal on that one. That's for damn sure. I mean, I wouldn't take Rudolph. You know what I mean?
No.
And I hate to say it, you still got a guy in Detroit called Jared Goff that may be on his way out of there too. You know what I mean? Yep. So there's a lot of moving pieces still that we're kind of forgetting about in some ways. Can Pittsburgh pick up Jimmy? Yes, I think Pittsburgh can. Do I think it's a good thing? I don't know. Like, I really don't. I don't know if it's a good thing because of the quarterbacks that with Ben there and stuff like that. He was getting sacked an awful lot, and San Francisco had a decent old line. You know what I mean? So, and Jimmy had problems. So I'm just saying is that if you don't have an offensive line, you're going to get hit a lot. So maybe Garoppolo looks at going down to Tampa. I mean, there's a lot of things here, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got Sam Bradford that's still out there floating around, and stuff too. So I'm just saying is that right now we could speculate everything you want and hope for. But like I said, out of the blue, you're going to get a three-way deal between teams, and it's just going to come back and go, wow, I did not quite expect that.
Yep.
But Pittsburgh, I think, is pretty worried about who they're going to get because I'll say this, the Steeler fans, they don't like what they've got right now at their QBs. There's no question about that. They do not like what they have there. You might even see Kirk Cousins on the move. You don't know. You might see something. I'm just saying, anything is possible right now.
Yeah. And with Pittsburgh, you got to remember, too, that Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent, too. So there goes one of your prime free agent targets. Yep.
And they've already got a high cap as it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's not like that. We're forgetting these teams do not have a lot of cash to be blowing $50 million here and stuff like this on top-notch quarterbacks either. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight this year. And when you don't have, and here's the thing, you don't have quarterbacks coming out of this draft worth mentioning. You really don't.
No, agreed. And Jeff, we have a hot button issue in Philadelphia. They go up against the Brooklyn Nets. And James Harden and Joel Embiid and the Sixers take their first loss in the James Harden era to the Brooklyn Nets. Somebody, I won't say who, remained on the bench, did not play in the game. Ben Simmons did not play in the game.
Told you he wasn't going to play.
And I knew it too. We put a poll up, and that's the other thing why you got to go to our Twitter account and sportsskilletradio.com. We put a poll. You never know when we're going to drop information on you. I put it out there a while ago saying, will Ben Simmons play in the game? And what excuse would he give? And he did not play in the game. Ben Simmons just stayed on the bench, did not play, Jeff. And, obviously got the Philadelphia treatment, got booed. And Philadelphia fans, can you blame him for everything he's put Philadelphia through and everything? Your thoughts about that game, Jeff?
Well, wait a minute here. Let's get something straight.
Sure.
First of all, the Nets didn't need Ben Simmons. This is Philadelphia being over-concerned, overhyped with Ben Simmons because of what he did. But you know what? Take the boost, because at the end of the game, Philly fans were booing their own team for that performance that they put on against the Nets. For that performance. So much for MVP Embiid. Okay. So there you go. Okay. He got run over by, I don't know, Kevin Durant. Okay. So there you go. And you know what? The Nets are just sitting there having a good old time, laughing their you-know-what's off, because you know what? The Sixers just, because Sixer fans were all energized because they had James Harden, they had these beer muscles. Oh, we're going to win the NBA Finals. Oh, we're going to this. We're doing that. Oh, we got the beard. Oh, this is great now. We got these two great players. You know what? You know what? Irving and Durant sort of said, time out here, Philly. We're just going to lay a 30 spot on you and smack you around in your own building. All right? So, Sixer fans better, go back to their corner, relax a little bit, take the rest of the regular season, just hope to God you don't play the Nets in the first round of the playoffs, because you know what? Kevin Durant would love to smack you around a little bit more. I'm sure by that point Ben Simmons will be on the court. So, there's more here there's more on this plate going forward here to get into the playoffs. But,
Mike,
other teams that, the Sixers are going to have to contend with. You got Milwaukee. You got a number of other teams that are going to that the Sixers have to contend with. So it's not going to be a cakewalk for this team, even with James Harden in the lineup, as you saw against the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah. Shane, what do you make of it? Should Sixer fans kind of be concerned? Because we know James Harden's record in the playoffs is not the greatest. He doesn't have a great playoff record, and this was being built up in Philadelphia as a playoff-style atmosphere. Even with Ben Simmons sitting on the bench for Brooklyn, it was kind of that playoff-style atmosphere. And once again, James Harden, kind of came up small in this one.
Yeah, I mean, he did. There's no question about that. It's going to be tough as they move forward. I think again, too, is the rest of these guys got to look and say, you know what? When we didn't have Simmons, we still made a big run. Tobias Harris, Maxey, all these guys like that, they made a big push of, performing. MB had to step up even more, and I think it's starting to wear on him as the season goes on too. I think the big man is feeling some effects of being out there an awful lot and having to carry the team on his shoulders an awful lot too. Now, with that being said, yes, you bring in Harden to do some damage here and make some things happen. One game, is it a make or breaker? Well, if you're playing a team 4 times, or 6 times, depending on what's happening, you're expecting a lot more. And James Harden is going to give you a lot more than a Ben Simmons would in any playoff. I mean, he's going to shoot the ball. He's going to get to the foul line. Right now, he's averaging better than anybody else getting to the foul line. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think necessarily you got to look at that. I think right now it's kind of you got pie in your face. Now you got to start stepping up and start playing. I think it's going to depend on who they play when it does come to the playoffs, who they're playing first. You know what I mean? And going from there. Do they have enough momentum in them to keep some things happening and make some things happening? Or are they going to stumble right off the hop and win, but win ugly, and it's going to be a long, painful type of games for them? That's where you're going to start seeing. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and saying, you know what, let's see as they move forward. They got a good opportunity to do something. But again, like I said, you got to all play together. I'll give Harden some credit. From what I understand, talking to a few people out there and certain things, Harden has been very supportive to his teammates there. You know what I mean? He has given Maxey a few pat on the backs and said, hey, man, you going to start playing this game? You going to start shooting or what? Like, you know what I mean? So he is pushing some people. And I think, too, is that team does not have the egos like you had when you were in Brooklyn with Irving, Durant, you know, and everybody else, right? So like I said, I think James is being James. Maybe he's a little too mellow, and maybe he's got to put a little fire under his own ass and start playing a little bit harder too.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I will say this, Coach, is the fact that the Sixers are top heavy. Their bench is not nearly as good. That trade took a lot out of the Sixers bench when you look at what they gave up. I mean, everybody focuses on the fact they got Harden, but they gave up a lot to get Harden into Philadelphia, and they got a lot off their bench. Never mind giving up Curry and so forth off that team to go to Brooklyn, but their bench. I mean, that's why I say the Sixers are kind of top heavy here as far as I'm concerned, and that's going to play in because what are they going to get off their bench? Because like you said, I mean, Harden and Harden can only do so much. Can only add so much to the team, and can only give Embiid so much of a break. And that's going to be, the issue going into the playoffs is, can the Sixers get enough production out of their bench to get them through a couple of playoff series here and go forward? I think that's going to be, the key the real key going forward here as far as the Sixers are concerned.
Oh, I totally agree. I think, you know what? Drummond, I thought, was a huge asset for them to give Embiid a little bit of a break at certain times. You know what I mean? I think Drummond has definitely been that type of a player that can help you in this type of situation. And Seth Curry, no question about it. This guy's playing 37 minutes a night. He's shooting. He's taking the lead on so many things for that team as well. So you're right. You gave up a lot. And you look down the line and saying, okay, who's going to come in here off this bench? Some guy named Joe? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying, right? So, again, you cannot expect Harden, Embiid, and Tobias Harris, and even Maxey there to play 40, 43 minutes every night. You know what I mean? You can't, especially when we get to playoffs. There's no way in the world because they're going to be run down before they even get out of that first round in that way. So, like I said, they got to get production off that bench. But again, look at the coach. Is he putting a little fire under their butts here and saying, listen, I want some production from you guys? Or is he just going to toe that line and saying, well, we're relying on the starters and that's it? That's BS. Because, hey, Lakers are prime example. Lakers are the prime example right now of running your team into the ground. You got LeBron there playing every bloody position, including water boy now, you know what I mean, and stuff like this. Because, like I said, nobody's healthy because they ain't got nobody, and you don't have a bench. You got guys there I've never even heard of. You know what I mean? I didn't even see them until they popped up on a picture and said, "Who is this guy?" You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. This is how bad it is out there. What's going to happen in Philly?
Yeah, Mike, what did you think of this whole Harden trade and the fact that the Sixers came up small? Do you think this could be an indication of what the Sixers are going to do in the playoffs? Because this was like I say, this was a playoff.
It felt like a playoff game. Yeah. It felt like a playoff game, and I think it might be an indication of what's to come for the Sixers in the playoffs. It's not going to be an easy road in the Eastern Conference when you got teams like the Celtics, the Nets. When you got a team like the Milwaukee Bucks coming off a championship, it's not going to be an easy road by any stretch of the imagination. And the way the Sixers played against the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know.
Yeah, you just hope that it wasn't an indication of what's going to happen in the playoffs. I mean, I know the Sixers were going to lose a game, obviously more than one. Before the playoffs start, but you hope that it wasn't that game if you're a Sixer fan, and they came up really small in that game. So you hope that this is an indication of what the Sixers are going to do in the playoffs. But Jeff Shane brought it up. The Lakers are just a mess out there on the West Coast. I mean, LeBron comes in there and brings in his pals, the veterans, and it just doesn't seem to be working out for the LA Lakers, Jeff.
We're saying, I mean, LeBron's looking around and saying, you know, who is this guy? I mean, what do I got here? You know, I mean, I don't think even he knows who's walking into that locker room anymore. Or, you know, what's surrounding him. I definitely, you know, I don't think he signed up for this. I really don't in LA. You know, he won his championship. Give the guy credit. He did win his, you know, he did get his championship out there in LA, but you know, this guy doesn't want to go out. I don't think LeBron wants to end his career like this, especially with what Steph Curry is doing and the band that they got back together out there in Golden State. I mean, there's definitely a better team out there in Oakland right now that's doing, you know, big things. So it's you know, it's huge when you look. I mean, LeBron's scoring 50 points. I mean, LeBron's going out there and doing his thing. But you know what? He can only do so much, and that's what I'm talking about with the fact that, you know, LeBron's in the huddle and he's kind of looking around saying, who is this guy? I mean, what do I got here? So it's a tough way to go, and you know, and then he's looking around right now, looking at the other teams in the Western Conference and saying, oh my gosh, you know, another year where we're not gonna make it through the second round. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just going to be a tough go of it for the Lakers here.
Well, and here's the even more scarier part is right now, Lakers are 9th. The Clippers are 8th,
exactly,
right? And Clippers don't have Kawhi or Paul George. You know, you're playing with a guy named Reggie Jackson and a Terrence Mann. You know what I mean? And they're in the damn playoffs.
Yes.
Whereas LeBron, Russ, AD, Dwight Howard, Kamalo, I mean, what the? And you can't make it? You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's not happy in LA. I think LeBron's even looking to say, listen, I'll even dress my kid for a game for Pete's sakes if we can win something. Because that's how bad it's getting out there right now in LA.
Oh, it's horrible out there. And LeBron comes in, they trade away a bunch of their players, a lot of their youth. And
hey, look at where Kuzma, look at Cordell Pope, like all these guys are, man. Kuzma is just killing it in Washington right now. I mean, this guy is just taking over, and all it was pass him the ball. You know what I mean? This is what made a guy like Kuzma look good. Is he's actually got somebody passing him the ball and he's doing his thing. Like that's all you needed. They could have kept him for that. They didn't need to go get Russ to do anything. Kuzma would have been cheaper. They could have kept him, and they could have even added somebody else extra off the bench if they needed to in some ways. That's what I said. And I mean, like I said, these crazy trades that LA has done has now come back where every GM is just laughing at the Lakers and saying, that's what happens when you let the players do the trading for you, you know? And really, that's what it came down to.
Yeah, and you look at it, I mean, you know, these are all guys that LeBron wanted to bring in and play with. And I think it said a lot that at the trading deadline, basically Jenny Boss and the GM said, you know what, LeBron, you brought these guys in there. It's not a me problem. It's a you problem, LeBron.
Yeah.
It's all on you. You wanted this mess. We gave you what you wanted. So it's up to you, LeBron, to go and deal with it. We're not making all these trades and going crazy and further devaluating our franchise. These are your guys, LeBron. You wanted them. It's a you problem. It's not a me problem. But
here's the thing, though, Jay. Here's the thing. LeBron has come out and said, wherever my kid gets drafted to, I'm going to go play with them.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
His kid could be coming to Philly for Pete's sakes. You might have LeBron with you. Like I'm saying, you know what I mean? LeBron doesn't care about the Lakers. He's just in a position right now where this is the team I'm playing for, so I'm going to just do my very best, blah, blah, blah. I've got my billions of dollars. I can do whatever I want. Now I'm watching my son, and wherever he's going to go, and this is where I think he's going to go. It might be New Orleans. It might be, you know, somewhere like that. That's okay. Guess what, guys? Bye-bye to the Lakers. Lakers are going to sit there going, okay, so I got a beaten up AD. I got a Russell Westbrook that can't play. I got some no names on the bench here. What the hell are we gonna do? Bring back Magic?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So LeBron is sitting pretty no matter what. This is the whole thing that people are forgetting. LeBron is sitting pretty no matter what. He can leave and walk away to go where his kid is because that's how he signed his own bloody contracts. But as it stands right now, Lakers look like a piece of crap.
Yeah, they really do. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Lakers are in a mess, and it's all thanks to LeBron James. I just don't know what to say about the Lakers right now, except their future is screwed. They're in a big fat mess. LeBron James is at fault. It's not the Buss family's fault. It's LeBron James. And
Well, it is the Buss family fault because they
Well,
let
it
him.
is. Yeah.
You can't let a guy just take over like that and call up his buddy and say, "Hey, pack up your bags and come play for us, and we're going to pay you this much." And then Jeannie Buss is going, "Okay, sure, whatever." No, like, you know what I mean? Management has to step in. Coaches have to step in to a certain degree too. Now, I'm not against a player making a recommendation saying, "Hey, I think so and so could be good on our team. What can we do for this, this, and this?" I don't mind a little bit of recommendations, but this is not recommendation on that team. This is the
it's
LeBron
dictatorship.
Laker team, and that's all it is.
It's a flat out dictatorship on the part of LeBron James.
Of course.
Yeah, and you know, like Shane said, ownership allowed it to happen to get to this point, and all of a sudden now it looks like they're putting on the brakes a little bit and saying, "Whoa, wait a minute, our franchise is so bad."
Look,
it's so
they're
bad
going back to the Forum to play. They can't even play in the new arena, man. Like I said, they're getting kicked out of everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to thank J Divine 93 for joining us here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We appreciate it. And again, anything and everything in the world of sports, if you want to comment on it, drop us a line in the comment section. We'll get to it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to listen to us and view the podcast. We appreciate it. We're going a little overtime here today because, Jeff, Major League Baseball is finally back, and we have free agency upon us. And your thoughts about baseball being back, Jeff?
Well, I was discussing with the state deputy of the Knights of Columbus last night at the St. Patrick's Day dinner hosted by Heightstown. Fabulous dinner there, by the way. Just as we were discussing, how are the players just destroyed baseball? Gotten away with doing what they've done here. Eliminating the shifts, doing the kinds of things that in the CBA that are going to change. They're going to change baseball. Some I'm in favor of universal DH. I can live with. I mean, what the heck? I mean, go ahead, put it in. You're going to put it in there. I mean, pitchers are only going 4 innings anyway. I mean, what the heck? You have relievers starting baseball games now anyway. Look, I think eliminating this shifts. Look, you got to teach players to hit the other way. Just bunt, do whatever you have to do, and get it done. Trying to legislate eliminating the shifts to me is wrong. And look, that's something that look, that's something that you have that we're going to have to all live with at this point with the new collective bar agreement signed. The owners got some things out of it. The players got some things out of it. Overall, I don't understand why it took as long as it did to come to this kind of an agreement. But what the heck? When it came down to it, and the 162 games were put in jeopardy, the agreement came pretty fast, and that just tells you, what this whole thing was about. But at this point, we do have a lot of free agents still on the market that still have to be decided. It'll be interesting to see as we have a rapid free agency here going forward. How some teams kind of reorient themselves and kind of get themselves back I mean, if you look at the Phillies, for example, I mean, they could definitely use some relief help. They could definitely use some depth behind Wheeler. There's no question on that in their rotation. I've said it before, after the season that the Phillies are kind of top heavy with their talent behind the MVP Harper. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there, and try and just see how teams kind of orient themselves going into spring training and get and then obviously sign some talent off the market, because there's still some talent out there worth adding. I mean, Chris Bryant would be a nice addition to the Phillies. I mean, I'll say that. I mean, Harper seems to like Bryant, and he would be a good addition to the Phillies because he could play multiple positions. So that would be a good addition, I think, to the Phillies to bring him in. You cannot have, when you're in a DH, when you're using a DH, you can never have enough offense. You learn that, and in this case, I think bringing in Bryant to work, obviously with Real Muto, and certainly with MVP Harper, will be a good thing, I think, for the Phillies, if they can work out a deal and bring Chris Bryant in.
Yep. Shane, your thoughts about MLB baseball, Major League Baseball being back?
Well, I mean, Jeff summed it up. It took him long enough, and all the crap that went through it and stuff like that to finally say, okay, all right, let's get it hashed out. Let's do this and blah blah blah. When you could have done this how bloody long ago for the same thing, in that way. So now it just comes to, like you said, let's figure out the system in which you want teams and the players that are going to be free agents, free drafts, sort of things like this. Again, here's the thing I'm looking at, though, as I was quickly scrolling through some of this. There's some guys asking a lot of money again. You know what I mean? Yep. For 1-year contracts, 2-year. And this is a big thing you're starting to see is these 1-year contracts, right?
Yeah.
Because the owners are going, okay, we can't do your 15 million or for 15 year type of thing anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can't do those anymore type of thing, or try not to. So these 1-year deals, is it going to be worth it pulling in some guys? Are they looking again? Are we going like how the NFL is? We're going to buy a guy. We're going to buy a guy to win a championship, right? In that way. We're going to do it this year. So I think you're going to start seeing a few more teams try to go all in on 1 years for some players and teams to make it, instead of saying, we got them locked up for five years or whatever like that. I think they're going to say, no, we got to do it this year. We got to do it this year and next year. That's it. And I think this is you're going to see a little bit more of a trend like that. Players are going to be bouncing around. I think it's going to be harder for fans to be watching and saying, wasn't he on our team last year? No, he's now on that team this year. You know what I mean? I think that's what you're going to get a little bit more of. And I think it's going to be a little confusing for them. But again, owners and teams want to win now, and that's it. So they're going to do what they got to do. That's what I'm predicting for this MLB as we move forward.
Well, Shane, and I want to say this. If you look at the world champions, if you look at the Atlanta Braves, they're built through the farm system. They built it. They built their team through that farm system. They got good young players. Heck, they won a world championship without Ronald Acuna. I mean, they went out there and they won without their star player, and they won a championship, which tells you something about the depth that the Atlanta Braves have within the organization and the lack thereof, like I said, with the Phillies, and the fact that they just don't have that talent to pull out of their farm system to try to compete with a team like Atlanta. Now, you're looking at the division, and you've got the Mets, right? That have put that the two awesome pitchers together. They got DeGrom, and obviously they got Scherzer at the top of that rotation. What do they got behind those two is going to be, an interesting theory going forward to see what production they get out of guy DeGrom. But they got a lineup that's okay if they're healthy and so forth. But look, the National League East should be interesting to say the least, because you got the Marlins who apparently have decided, okay, we're going to take Derek Jeter and throw him to the sideline. So as an ownership, so now they're moving. So now they're moving in that direction. You got the Nationals that are rebuilding, that are doing their thing right now. So realistically, right now, I think the Atlanta Braves are still sitting in a very good position if the Mets continue to play, as the Mets have. It just don't get a lot of production behind their top two aces.
And you nailed it there by saying they brought them up through the farm system, right? Look at the rest of these leagues. Look at the rest of the teams. How many you could count on one hand of how many of these other teams have that great of a farm system that they've been able to bring up players in this way, right? You know what I mean? But this is what boggles the mind. We've got talent all over the place. You don't have that scouts and the coaching people to get these people. You do not have those people watching and seeing who is good enough to make it on our talent in that way on the farm system. And like I said, it's about, well, I want to get the guy that's established, so I'm going to pay him the big money. I want to get this guy that's not grooming and developing. And Atlanta, you got to give them the pat on the back for doing that in that way. But we don't see enough of it. And I think it puts a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths because of that too.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, the team that puts a bitter taste in is the Dodgers. Yeah. I mean, the Dodgers, to me, are the team that, you look at and you say, hey, we bought all these players, and the Atlanta Braves came in and beat us, and went to the World Series and won the World Series and did their thing over there. I mean, but the Dodgers are sitting there saying, okay, we got this great part system. We go out there, we trade for Scherzer. We have this connotation, but you know what? They have a pitcher right now that they can't seem to get on the field in Clayton Kershaw. He seems to be hurt for almost all the time anymore with his back and so forth. So it's an interesting dynamic right now out there in LA at this point with what they're trying to do, obviously, because they're looking at the fact that, oh my gosh, we got beat by Atlanta, and what kind of stars did they have? I mean, they have Freddie Freeman out there, and they were missing Acuna. Like I keep saying this, a lot of people forget the fact. Hey, the Braves are, they're going to have their World Series ring, and Acuna didn't even play a part in it. So how good can the Atlanta Braves be now that they add that piece back into this mix? And should they re-sign Freddie Freeman? Obviously, Freddie Freeman being a free agent, we'll have to wait and see if the Atlanta Braves do decide to bring. I can't imagine them not bringing Freddie Freeman back at this point. But, we'll have to wait and see. And that's another, kind of shoe that has to drop here is, do the Atlanta Braves bring back, Freddie Freeman? Because I think, that he's just a huge part of that offense going forward. But that team, to me, it's just very impressive what that organization has done and how they built through their farm system. And more teams should take note of that and realize, hey, this is how we've got to build the foundation of our team, and then add the Bryce Harpers or add the free agents into the mix if you're going to win a championship.
Yep, totally agree. Totally agree. LA is the place where they just pick you, and that's it. I mean, you got to go out there, you got to buy a championship team, and that's all it is in every sport in LA, and that's the West Coast mentality.
Yep, and Mike, we haven't heard from you yet. Your thoughts on MLB? Getting done with the lockout, gates are down, players are starting to filter in. What's your thoughts about the new look Major League Baseball?
Jeez. It was getting aggravating. This lockout was getting aggravating. Let's just get back to baseball.
I agree with you. And the Phillies, once we've gotten back to the business of baseball, have made an acquisition earlier on Sunday or late Saturday night, however you want to view it. Mike, your thoughts about Jeurys Familia moving from the Mets over to the
I am glad he's gone. I am glad Familia is gone. He scared me every time he came out. Get him out of here.
Now he's going to come back and bite you guys. You watch.
Right.
That's how it always is. You release a player from a damn team, they come back and bite you.
Yeah, but he gave the Mets heart attacks, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah.
I mean, he's about – there's no question he has the stuff and the pitching acumen to be a back end of the bullpen guy. It's just that he would give up these home runs and cost the Mets
the World Series.
Exactly. And now he's coming to Philadelphia to be part of their bullpen. I mean, that's one of the guys apparently Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies were targeting once things got back to business. And Jeff, to the chagrin of Philly fans everywhere, some people only refer to him by his uniform number. They don't refer to him by name. But apparently some of the big ticket free agents aren't going to be coming to Philadelphia because they are in the final stages of finalizing a contract to bring back Odubel Herrera to be their center fielder. And this has set Philly fans ablaze, their social media ablaze. Nobody in Philadelphia, a lot of the Philly fans don't want to see Odubel Herrera return. They were like, thank God we got out of this massive contract for Odubel, and we're done with him. Obviously, Odubel Herrera had the domestic violence charges, as did back in the day George Familia, by the way. So apparently they're bringing back two guys with domestic violence. They're bringing in two guys with prior domestic violence charges, to the chagrin of Philly fans everywhere. Thoughts on this, Jeff? Maybe we don't.
Well, look, it speaks to, I said this a little bit earlier. It speaks to the lack of depth the Phillies have within the organization in their minor leagues, how they haven't built up, any type of minor league talent to replace some of these guys who really don't belong on the team. And the fact that, are the Phillies now, after spending a whole lot of money, on the Wheelers, after spending on the Realmutos, after spending on the Harpers, is this team done? I mean, is this team just tapping out as far as money goes? If they are, then they're not even in the league with the world champions. I mean, they're not in the league with the Atlanta Braves. I mean, they might make the playoffs. I mean, who knows? I mean, at some point look, I mean, if you add enough playoff teams, I mean, eventually, the Phillies might get in by osmosis. I mean, who knows? I mean, just keep piling on the playoff teams. I mean, baseball is not built for that. I mean, football is, because they played such a short season. But baseball with all these playoff teams is a freaking joke. I mean, I could get into that. I mean, the less I've always said, the less playoff teams, the better in baseball. But because I think that, because you play 160 games, you know who the better teams are at the end of that kind of campaign. But that's another story altogether. But as far as, the Phillies go with what they're doing, I mean, that just goes to show you, the fact that, they're not wanting to spend a whole lot of money, or the fact that they don't really have a clue as to really how to build behind the upper echelon players that they have on this team. They have some very good talent on this team. They have one of the best hitters in the league in Bryce Harper, as we know. They have a great pitcher in Wheeler. But beyond that, you look at it and you say, okay, well, what are some of these other guys that are on this team? What are they? What are they going to do? Can they stay healthy? So forth and so on. So, and again, you're now competing in your division with the world champions. I keep saying that over and again. And the Braves are about to get a whole lot better because best players in the league, and the Braves are not even to win a world championship. So, best of luck to the other teams in this division competing with that team in Atlanta.
No, I agree with that, and a lot of it, I think, there was a story, I believe, that's starting to leak out that John Middleton, the Phillies owner, doesn't want to go over the salary cap, or the luxury tax, however you want to refer to it. Some people refer to it as like a salary cap, but he doesn't want to go over it. So the Phillies are.
Well, that's because Jay, he doesn't want to go over it because he spent all his money on Real Muto, on Harper, on Wheeler, and so forth. I mean, if you spend all your money for many, many years on these guys, you got to be willing to spend, for those other guys down the road. You got to have a bench. You got to have depth in your rotation. You got to have a freaking bullpen, for crying out loud, because that's how this game is built now.
Oh, true.
So you've got to have that, and you've got to have good scouting. You got to have guys that are coming out of your minor leagues that are kind of coming up and playing well. That's the dynamic you have in baseball at this point, and that's what the Atlanta Braves showed, that you don't need a lot of stars to win a World Series. You need a collective team to get it done at this point. That's really what you need, and the Phillies just don't have that at this point. I mean, they have great players, but like I said, they're very top heavy.
Yeah, that's true. I want to get to a couple of comments here. Want to thank our co-host Kelly Figueroa for joining us. She says, "Guys, Tom Brady's back." I don't know that he's officially back yet. Maybe you guys have heard something, but Tom Brady may be coming back. Jeff, have you heard anything? Or
he left? I didn't even know that. I won't believe he left. I won't believe he's gone until he's actually, until the NFL season starts and he's not there. Then I'll believe Tom Brady's gone. Okay. So all this stuff on retirement, Tom Brady, whatever. Come on. This guy doesn't know when to quit. I mean, the guys like LeBron James, Tiger. I put all three of these guys in the same group: the LeBron James, the Tiger Woods, the Tom Brady's. These are all legends upon legends of their sport, and none of these guys know when to quit. I mean, they just have an on button, and they're gonna play until their bodies literally can't tell them that they can't. Heck, even Tiger Woods is trying to get his body back going again. So who knows? I mean, who knows if Tom Brady's ever going to truly give it up? Who knows?
Yep, and he wasn't playing bad last year. It was kind of like
I mean, last I saw him, and Shane would agree with this. Last I saw Tom Brady, he was driving down his team for a tying touchdown, and it was only his defense that kind of gave it up. That kind of didn't allow the team to go into overtime, or Tom Brady would have stolen that game from the Rams. So who knows?
And he was down. He was down two receivers and a starter running back too when he was doing this. You know what I mean? So I mean, like I said, the guys played through it all. Now there's until Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter say a little bit more. Tom is going to be Tom, and until the season starts and we go from there. But here's the thing: like I said, I haven't heard Tampa make any whispers about looking for a quarterback either. You know what I mean? So who knows? We'll see as we move forward with this one.
They're definitely in the quarterback market, no question about it. From J Divine 93, he says, "Should Everton buy LeBron next year, or do you think Everton will go down?" Any thoughts about that, guys? Or
I'll let Coach take it.
Should Everton buy LeBron?
That's what he typed in. I'm throwing that out there. Maybe
they ever buy LeBron? I don't understand that one.
Maybe you can retype it, but I mean, there you go. Usually, I want to say towards the end of the show we have Mike with the NASCAR update and everything. So like I said, we talk about everything and anything here on Sports Skillet. So drop us a comment and we will get to it. As we wrap up the show, guys, anything that you guys want to talk about?
Jay, I thought there was one thing you would bring up right now since we're winding down the show. Is I heard one of your wrestlers there is in a little bit of a rough situation.
Yeah.
Oh, and who would that be?
Well, I heard Razor Ramon.
Yeah, apparently he got
three. He had three major either strokes / heart attacks, all within the past weekend here, and he's pretty much fighting for his own little, his own life in some ways right now. You know what I mean? So it's not looking too good as we speak as this moment, from what I was told earlier today on this one, but. So, like I said, we'll see as Monday Night Raw comes on, I guess, if there's more info on certain things, and things like that. But so there you go, winding down some of that.
Yeah, exactly. And thoughts and prayers go out to Razor Ramon and his family, his friends, and all that type of stuff. Hopefully he can rebound and get well. And we got WrestleMania season on the horizon. We got Ronda Rousey appearing all over the place. Brock Lesnar versus, going to be in
Pat
the main
McAfee?
event. Pat McAfee, yes. Oh, as we wind down the show, real quick, guys. Speaking of Pat McAfee getting a WrestleMania match, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman going from Fox over to ESPN. Big industry news. Breaking
Big money. Big money.
Big money. There you go.
ESPN shoveling out the big money, digging deep, and now they got their Monday Night Football crew. And Fox is looking for a new number one announce team as we go forward, too.
Well, all I'm going to say is, all I'll say to this is, I think, a lot of people will be watching the Manning cast, over Joe Buck.
I don't know. You got, I don't think Joe Buck is all. I'll be honest with you. I'm a defender of Joe Buck. I don't think he's all that bad. I think he and Troy make a pretty good team out there, and that's why ESPN went fishing for him. And also, free agent is Al Michaels, reportedly close to a deal with Amazon, I believe it is, to become their play-by-play guy, as they're going to be getting Thursday Night Football in the fall. So he wants to know who he's going to be teamed up with before he signs on with Amazon. But Al Michaels is currently a free agent. So a lot of industry buzz going on there, guys.
Wow. Like I said, is to me, Tony Romo is still very, very incredible when he calls out the plays on those games. And in fact, it scares me sometimes because if he's calling a play and my offense is playing it and he goes, it's not going to work. I kind of go, oh, damn it, Romo, don't say nothing. You know what I mean? Because he knows too much at times. So Troy and the rest of those boys, they want the big money and they're going to get the big money. And I think, like I said, between a quarterback carousel, a coaching carousel, we're having a media carousel as well. You know what I mean? So that's just how it's going to be. And, that, it's just how it goes and stuff like that. So I'll look forward to it when we finally get it. But like I said, boys, and I'm getting stuff flashing back to me saying Brady ends retirement. So I don't know. Tom Brady returning to the Bucs in 2022. So things are flying around. So stay tuned, I guess, as we head.
Yep, that's what I'm getting right now. Tom Brady announces on Twitter he is returning to the Bucs. So the Bucs no longer need a quarterback. So there we go. Breaking news on the Sports Skillet show here. Tom Brady is back. He is unretiring, and that changed the dynamic, Jay, in the NFC, having Tom Brady back. He felt the itch, obviously, and decided, you know what, this retirement thing doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Giselle and the kids can take care of themselves for at least one more season. I got a little juice left. I'm coming back. Yep.
Yeah.
That right.
And so like I said, is I know there was rumors of Jameis Winston heading to Tampa again. So now that's been put on the back burner. So we're going to see what's going to happen here. So, we'll find out next 24 hours what's going on. But I got a feeling you got a very unhappy Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. He saw a clear path, and now it's getting a little bit more muddled. Now you got Brady coming back, and, of course, the Rams, etc. So it'll be fun to watch this thing going on. Definitely.
All right.
So, Shane, once again, thank you.
And don't forget, guys, before we get off here, March Madness, obviously, up here. Good luck to Coach K. Final run here in the NCAA Tour Tournament. Wish him the best, obviously, as final go around. So we wish, me being a Syracuse fan, I hate to do it, but this guy deserves all the credit in the world for what he's built down there with Duke and so forth. And it's tough that he got beat, obviously, by North Carolina in its final home game. But hey, that's that kind of thing happens. This guy's just been an absolute legend in the sport, and we wish him the very best going through his final tournament here. So. Go get him, Coach K.
Absolutely. And Shane, one more time, can you let everybody know how they can find you on your social media?
Yep. MentalEdgePerformance.ca as well as mental_edge_performance. Gentlemen, it has been amazing. Lots of news.
Absolutely. We love it. Remember, check out sportsskilletradio.com, the heat ratio. Sports Skillet Show on social media. We love you. We thank you. And again, drop your comments in on our chat line when we go live, and we'll be happy to get to them all. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you again next Sunday night on the Sports Skillet Radio Show.
Two, with the bases loaded and one out. Oh, it got deep to right field, way up there, and way out of here. Second and walk-off home run. Grand slam, Braves homer. It's been a side game. Fourth and goal. Here's Iverson, eludes the defender, stays right where Allen wants to go, wants the baseline, fade away, yeah! He's way too good! He steps around Lou and drilled it, and the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was